Chapter 5. The Final Conflict. The soldiers were rough and unforgiving, dragging Joel to a nearby garrison where he was questioned and accused of being a spy and a thief. His lack of proper identification and strange mannerisms only fueled their suspicions. Despite his protests of innocence, Joel was bound and taken to a makeshift holding area, his fate once again out of his hands. Days later, Joel found himself being led through the streets of Jerusalem, the bustling city alive with activity. The Roman soldiers marched him through the crowded streets, drawing curious and hostile stares from the locals. Joel's heart sank as he realized that his situation had gone from bad to worse. He was now a prisoner of the Roman Empire, accused of crimes he did not commit and with no way to prove his innocence. As he was thrown into a cell beneath the Roman fortress, Joel's thoughts turned to the stories he had read about this time period. He knew that the Romans were merciless in their punishment of perceived traitors and criminals. The reality of his predicament weighed heavily on him, and he struggled to maintain hope in the face of such overwhelming odds. The days passed in a blur of darkness and despair. Joel's cell was small and dank, with only a small slit for a window high above, through which he could glimpse the world outside. He could hear the sounds of the city, the cries of merchants, the chatter of passers-by, and the clamor of soldiers. But the walls of his cell remained unyielding, a constant reminder of his captivity. One morning, the cell door creaked open, and Joel was roughly pulled to his feet by the guards. They spoke in harsh tones, their expressions grim. Joel was dragged through the corridors of the fortress and out into the blinding sunlight. As his eyes adjusted to the light, he saw that he was being taken to a large open area where a crowd had gathered. The air was thick with tension and the murmurs of the crowd. Joel's heart raced as he was led to a raised platform where two other prisoners stood, their expressions a mix of fear and resignation. The realization of what was about to happen hit Joel like a physical blow. He was being prepared for execution. The soldiers moved with practiced efficiency, securing Joel and the other prisoners to large wooden crosses. The crowd's murmurs grew louder, a mixture of curiosity and morbid fascination. As Joel was lifted onto the cross and the nails were driven through his wrists and feet, the pain was unlike anything he had ever experienced. His vision blurred, and he fought to remain conscious, the agony threatening to overwhelm him. As the crosses were raised and the prisoners left to hang, Joel's mind reeled with the insanity of his situation. Here he was, an astronaut from the future, nailed to a cross next to a man who, if the stories and histories were correct, was Jesus of Nazareth. The profound irony of being in one of the most pivotal moments of human history was not lost on him. As the reality settled in, Joel felt a deep remorse for the sins and mistakes of his life, reflecting on the choices and paths that he had made. Next to him, the other thief began mocking Jesus, hurling insults and derision. Joel, despite his pain, felt a surge of anger at the man's words. Summoning the last of his strength, he turned to the thief, his voice strained but resolute. "Do you not fear God?" he managed, trying to speak in the local tongue. "Seeing you are under the same sentence? We are punished justly, for we are getting what our deeds deserve. But this man has done nothing wrong." The crowd fell silent, and Joel's words seemed to hang in the air, heavy with meaning. He then turned his gaze to Jesus, his eyes filled with a mixture of desperation and hope. "Remember me when you come into your kingdom," Joel pleaded, his voice barely more than a whisper. Despite the overwhelming pain, there was a deep sincerity in his plea, a recognition of the man beside him as more than just a fellow sufferer. He was the Son of God. Jesus turned his head slightly, meeting Joel's gaze with a look of profound compassion and sorrow. Despite the agony etched across his face, Jesus' voice was steady and filled with empathy. "Truly, I tell you," he replied, "today you will be with me in paradise." As the life ebbed from his body, Joel felt a strange peace wash over him. The physical pain, though still present, seemed to recede, replaced by a sense of calm and acceptance. His vision blurred once more, and the harsh reality of the cross began to dissolve into a warm, enveloping light. When Joel opened his eyes again, he found himself lying in a lush, grassy field. The air was warm, and the sky above was a brilliant blue. He sat up slowly, marveling at the absence of pain and the sense of peace that filled him. The field stretched out endlessly, filled with vibrant flowers and the sound of birdsong. As he took in his surroundings, Joel noticed a figure approaching. It was Jesus, his presence radiating warmth and serenity. Joel felt a profound sense of peace and gratitude as Jesus extended a hand to help him to his feet. "Welcome, Joel," Jesus said with a gentle smile. "You have journeyed far and endured much. Your heart sought truth and compassion, and now you have found peace." Joel felt tears of relief and joy fill his eyes. He was no longer a prisoner, no longer a man out of time. He had found his place in a realm beyond time and space, where the mysteries of his journey were answered in the presence of the divine. As he walked alongside Jesus through the fields of paradise, Joel knew that he was finally home, at peace in a world where time and suffering held no power. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share. It really helps this channel so we can keep bringing stories to our viewers.